Welcome to your unfiltered guide to navigating the workplace as a Black woman, the Black Womaning in Corporate America podcast with your host, Nicole S. Palmer. I am the CEO and founding partner of Donut Media, an independent publishing company that amplifies underrepresented and marginalized voices. This podcast was inspired by my award-winning and best-selling book, Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Black Women in Corporate America with your host, Nicole S. Palmer. And I am not alone today. I am very excited, guys. We have a very special guest, and you guys know I don't like to steal anyone's thunder, so I'm going to turn it right on over to her to introduce herself to the folks at home.
Well, hello, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone. My name is Chelsey Green. I always say first, I'm a child of God.
Yes.
I am also an artist. I am an educator. And I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for creators. I'm an advocate for Black women. And I am so honored to have been the first Black woman and the youngest elected to chair of the board for the GRAMMYs.
Okay, y'all heard all of that. And also, Dr. Chelsey Green, okay? Let's not be modest here.
I always say I can't write prescriptions, just very long papers.
Hey, that also counts. You went to school. You
yes.
Vacation. Okay, so let's put some respect on your name. Okay, so Dr. Chelsey Green is joining us today. We're super excited to have her. As you heard her say, first Black woman chair of the board of the GRAMMYs, y'all. The GRAMMYs, yes. And also the youngest. Okay.
The youngest person.
Yep. Just out here breaking all of the records. Okay. So congratulations. That is such a big accomplishment. And obviously there are some connections to music. So tell the folks at home about your background, because before you were the chair of the board, you were an artist. So let the folks know at home what you have been up to leading up to this.
You know what? And I still like to get on the stage, okay? And play my violin, sing my songs.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing the violin very young. I come from a musical family, and my first stage was the church.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I think I was classically trained all of my youth until my dad started introducing jazz to me in middle school. He is an educator as well and a jazz musician. And so when that is your first introduction to the stage and what music does to move people, you understand it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
It is a gifting that is bringing an experience to audiences for them to come together, for them to find their joy, for them to peace. And so music always became a vessel for me for a message. And as I grew up and went to college and started getting deeper and deeper into classical training, I was torn between this idea of classical training and having to perform a certain way versus the freedom of artistic autonomy and your creativity, and my history with Black music styles and church and soul music, jazz. And so I lived a split life for so long. I feel like that was code switching very young. Yeah. Being in the orchestra, doing what I had to do, and then going to the open mic and being free. Still recording and performing is a big part of what I do as an artist.
It's your calling, and I think we talk about that a lot on here, is that we all have this calling. And sometimes you were fortunate that you, at a very young age, not only identified it, but you leaned into it. And I know, like me personally, like I ran from mine for a while.
Okay. And now what is that about? Look, that's a therapy session. Okay. We'll talk about that.
But I'm a church girl, so I overstand what you're talking about. Mm-hmm, but eventually it caught up to me, right? So you can only run up for so long. And so I love that very early on, you knew this is it. This is my thing. And I'm going to completely pursue it with reckless abandon. And that's the word. That's so encouraging. I think especially for this time, for such a time as this.
For such a time as this, I think it's important though that I have to credit my village. Like my parents
Mm,
gave me that space to say, okay, you want to try it? Okay, you want to do
okay.
dance? Okay. So I think some people don't necessarily have that freedom in that lane to be able to
Yes.
pursue those passions in a certain type of way. So I'm really grateful to them. I'm also grateful to the educators that I
Mhm.
had that allowed me to see there was more to it
Yeah.
than having to do it one way, right? And the ones that didn't, because the ones that didn't made me want to rebel a little bit
Okay.
more.
Tell
So,
me I can't one
yeah,
more time.
exactly, exactly.
I love that. And so now here you are in this big stage that is like a household phenomenon. Everybody knows the Grammys. And here you are, a whole president of the board of the Grammys, which is super exciting. So I would love, because we always talk about the first something, right? And so
Right.
here you are, you're not just the first Black female president of the board, but you're also the youngest. So
Yes.
you have these two pretty momentous events that you are encompassing. So talk to us about what is that and maybe give us a bit of backstory. What led you to this, where you are on this big stage now?
I could not have told you this would happen. If you would have pulled me aside 10 years ago, I would have never, like Tony Baker, I never knew. I would have never known. God is such a God of majesty and grandeur.
Yes.
And I think if we allow ourselves to be divinely aligned, his plan
Mm,
is so much greater than we could ever conceptualize. We have to
yes.
just be open to that. I will say, I was doing a lot of studio work when I was on
Mm,
the open mic circuit, and I was coming in as a violinist, but in the studio, I was doing so much more than just playing a violin line. I was helping write the hooks. I was creating a string arrangement. It wasn't just one string
mm.
part. It was me stacking different parts to become a string arrangement. And I had a producer pull me to the side one day and he was like, "You're really not getting credited for all the work that you're doing." He was like, you should have a
Okay.
producer credit. You should have other credits on this because you've contributed more to the project. So he introduced
Right.
me to the Recording Academy. And way back in the day, at that time, almost 15 years ago now, they were organizing the local chapter. There's 12 chapters, and they were
Okay.
organizing the chapter boards according to making sure certain parts of the industry were filled. So if there was a classical person in your area,
Right.
make sure they're considered to run, or how many vocalists do you have versus country and R&B and da da da, just to make sure that there was a diverse board represented
Right.
in your area. And so I came into the membership and they were like, "Oh, well, she's our classical girl." And because squarely I do, all of my degrees are classical viola degrees, but I've had a really long history in studio work and contemporary music and touring
Okay.
with violin and doing my own projects with the Green Project. So I was able to represent this classical consideration, but also just what it's like to be an instrumentalist. And that is such an underserved and under discussed, really. It's not really platformed that much. So I was always the one that was not afraid to ask questions. I was just like,
Okay.
hey, but okay, this don't make sense in the governance. What about the instrumentalists? How are we? And so I think people really valued that I wasn't intimidated by the faces I saw.
Okay.
I was more concerned with the questions that I had.
I like that.
And I've just always led with that. I have a heart for our membership. I think the Grammys are a phenomenal celebration of creators in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I'm so committed to making sure there's equity in that process. There's so many people that have thriving careers that no one's
Yeah.
ever heard about because they live in the credits or they're helping you on the tour bus. And so those
Right.
people deserve recognition as well.
I love that so much. And I think one of the things that's so powerful for me, especially, and I think especially for our audience, is to be able to see themselves reflected in a space that is not typically occupied by people that look like us. And that's always, even though I think people talk about, well, we need to get to the point where we're not always the first, but the
Right.
first is still important because it has, I mean, there has to be a first before there can be a second and a third and a fourth. Okay.
Exactly. And I mean, I think to me, it's always access. Every day I'm humbled in meetings saying, God, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the people that exist like me.
Yeah.
And so I never just go in there only thinking about me or the people that I work with, but I'm thinking about all of us that are
Yeah.
doing the same thing, kind of living in this same space of the music industry that maybe isn't charting every single day, but you're still succeeding and you're, or educators that still feel like they want life as an artist and as an educator. So it's just an opportunity for there to be space for everyone to have visibility.
I love that. And one of the things, because as we were talking a little bit earlier before we got into it, this is Black Music Month, right? And
It's right.
so it's Black Music Month. So it's such a perfect opportunity to have you come on. But one of the things that I also tickles me about our conversation is because this month, our theme has been about your voice, finding your voice. And I'm
Yeah.
telling y'all know I don't like orchestrate anything, but it's divine alignment, okay?
That's it.
Okay, just
That's
to be
it.
clear, and to have you come on and say that your primary goal is equity, and that's what I hear is to have everyone have a voice at the table, and I think that's such a beautiful thing of what you're doing, and I think that is why the doors are opening for you because of what you're seeking to accomplish, and I think that's also important. Okay, the heart got to be there.
It has to be there because that has to get you through the rough patches.
Okay.
It is work, but it's worth it. It's worth the effort and it's worth showing up. And I love that you're saying that about people's voices. It really doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you
Right.
call yourself a creator or not. Every single person, and especially Black women, we're artists.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are artists. We're using improvisation every day. We're thinking on our toes. We
Yep.
are using our creative power to find solutions, to
Mm-hmm.
execute, to close operational gaps, right?
Yeah.
To bring cohesion to organizations or to households or to hospitals, law firms. We're out here bringing communities together in so many different ways, and that's the power of the voice. I think that's also the power of Black music. I don't
Mm-hmm.
There's not one genre of Black music that you're not gonna find some soul and seasoning in. Okay,
Okay.
it's in
Yes.
there.
And speaking of soul and seasoning, because I think especially in this era of AI, like this
Yes.
huge proliferation of AI, where
Hmm.
it's not just in the writing, it's now in music. Now you see all of these AI artists popping up on Spotify,
Hmm.
and people are not necessarily being cognizant of that. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that because when I listen to AI, to me, it's easy to spot. And my
Okay.
husband and I talked about it, and the way that I describe it is AI has no soul.
Okay.
So I think that inherently, when you're listening to something that doesn't have that, there's something that it evokes in you. It doesn't matter what genre it is.
Yeah.
If you're listening to something that is written by a human person, it evokes an emotion in you, and
Yeah.
AI is not capable of doing that. It can sound good. It could be a bop, which we
Right.
acknowledge, but at the end of the day, it's not. There's no humanity in it. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on that because I do think, especially in this day and age, when a lot of artists are trying to make sure their voices are being heard or not being taken advantage of, what are your thoughts on that? And what if anything, is being done to combat it, if I may ask?
That's a great question. And this is such a great topic in general because AI is a threat to creators. It's
Mm-hmm.
just right now in its very unregulated
Yeah.
and unattended. People are not paying attention to what it is stealing. how it
Yeah.
is training off of human creators, all of the IP that it
Hmm.
is collecting, right? To build the foundation of how it will create and
Yeah.
continue to evolve in the future. And this is something that the Academy is actively we're in active talks with senators and congresspeople on the Hill about restricting AI. There are just it is a very timely conversation because the longer it goes unrestricted, the more power it has, the more it is allowed to grow and develop off of human IP. And the problem for me is it's showing that the people that are enjoying it, or the people that are giving it the spins and putting it on playlists, and the reason it's charting is because there's a lot of people who maybe they do hear the difference, but they don't care. And that to me is the bigger
Yeah.
problem. Why don't you want to connect with the human
Mm.
creator? Because what are you unwilling to connect with yourself
Mm.
about, to understand why this is a disconnect? There's something missing in this song. There's been a joke about a really popular AI song that was on TikTok that
Hmm.
had the grandmas in it because they felt like it was
Right.
a song of empowerment, and they were just doing it, but it didn't rhyme. It didn't have any scheme in the poetry. It was just super basic.
Yeah.
So it was like, what is it about that's moving you
Yeah.
to like it? And I think for me, as I can be a very free thinker sometimes and just a kumbaya person, but it's like, where's the soul going in America in general?
Hmm.
What are we caring about? What makes people passionate
Right.
to just to be engaged with the arts in general? And that to me is what's going to get us back to that critical thinking where, nah, I'm not going to trust AI just to give me this answer or just to
Right.
generate this. I have a desire to dig a little deeper for
Hmm.
that. So AI is something that we're actively working against. I think that there are benefits
Yeah.
that are helpful to creators that may not have the resources financially to have a massive studio at home to be able to do a very
Right.
elaborate production. So there has to be a line
Yeah.
that's drawn, right, about what AI can and cannot do.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we're in no way saying that AI is bad because that's
Right.
not the case, but there has to be governance. There
Yeah.
has to be balance also. Like
Yes.
everything can't be AI because then you have a bunch of AI slop coming across the fence, and then that's a whole other thing. So I think it's very important to be discerning as well. I think
Yes.
that's also a big one because I think, to your point, it went viral because nobody really thought about, well, but what am I listening to?
Exactly.
Where did it come from? Where did it originate? And when I hear things, there are times where you can even spot the AI because you can hear the something, a chord, just very synthetic,
Yes.
very robotic. And then you're like, wait a
Uh-huh.
minute, what was that? you
Right.
know?
Even in the vocal, like the vocal delivery can feel really odd at
Yeah.
times. Yep.
And again, because to your point, no seasoning, no soul, like it's completely missing. But because you're, to your point, we're in a current era where we're moving in this direction, that where is the entire soul of this country? Like, where is it? And we need to get back to that. And I am encouraged because I do feel like sometimes everything old is new again. We kind of come in a circle. We
Absolutely.
have a space where we kind of go through this thing. We kind of get away from
Hmm.
where we were, but eventually things kind of realign. And that's what I'm hopeful for, especially now.
Yes. Yes. It's always cyclical. You're so right.
Yeah. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about, especially because you're at this intersection of not just being a Black woman, but also being the youngest in this space. And so, what, if anything, are you hoping to really be able to inspire those that are coming behind you
Yes.
as you're moving forward, not just in the Grammys, because that is not necessarily what lasts forever, right? It's the
Right.
talent, it's your calling, it's your
Hmm.
passion. So,
Hmm.
what is it that you're hoping to really impart or inspire to the generation that's coming behind you, or even the ones like the older generation? Because I'm sure I got you beat. And so, what
I
would
don't
you
know. I don't know.
what is it that you would love to impart to us, the aunties or the younger crowd? Like, what is it you're hoping to inspire to us?
That is such a beautiful question. I just think I want to bring a sense of community. I feel like part of what never recovered after COVID was the feeling of we got to do it by ourselves or we have to be in
Yeah.
isolation, right? And I just think it's so powerful when you connect with community
Hmm.
and everyone can work together towards the collective effort.
Yeah.
And it allows you to share the weight, but it also allows everyone to move forward together.
Yeah.
Your issue is not in isolation. I promise there's somebody else going through that same thing, needing that same resource,
Yeah.
needing a new way to consider a solution. And so when we're able to, of course, in safe spaces, I pray that everybody has safe spaces to
Yes.
be transparent,
Hmm.
but understand that transparency can help lead to solutions that can work towards the collective goal.
Yes. And I love that you mentioned that because I do believe that in the era of COVID, we really walled ourselves off. I mean, there was a fear, there was the unknown. So, understandably, right? But I think it took a lot of us time to even get out of that. We're so used to being in isolation and walled off from each other that we stayed that way. But I'm encouraged, and I love that you mentioned about the community. I see more of it happening now where people are being more deliberate.
Yes.
And I especially within our specific community as Black women, where people are not just saying, well, let's have a virtual chat. Let's come together in person. Let's come together face to face because there's something that
Absolutely.
you can't really gain when you're sitting on a computer screen. When you can come together in person, there's something that can happen at the soul level
Yes.
that I
Yes.
don't think you always get when you're sitting across the screen. Not that it can't be just as transformational, but I really love that that shift is happening now. And I'm
Yes.
glad that you called it out because I do think it's important, especially for us. And to your point, you mentioned earlier about having your village. That is underrated.
It really is. And for Black women, especially, I can't speak for all of us. I can just speak from my own experience.
Yeah.
And I know that some of my friends have the same idea that we feel this weight to make it happen. Like we just
Hmm.
have to do it. If I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And
Right.
there's this burden of responsibility that can be very heavy. And
Yes.
that sort of burden pours into your peace, your stress levels, your health. It's more than just
Yeah.
what you're trying to push across the table. So I really want us to make joy our number one priority.
Yes.
If it's
Again.
not making you happy, what are we doing to change it, to move it, to alter it so that we can be soul satisfied as we go through it, even if we have to get through the season before it changes, right? So
Yes.
that just knowing that there is another person going through what you can and you can extend your hand out to be a helping hand, I think that's such a blessing.
Yeah, and to your point, if it's not bringing you joy, also, why are you still doing it?
Woo, that's another therapy moment that we
Look,
yes.
look, this is how we do. Sometimes, like I say on the show, if you can't say amen, say ouch. Okay?
Oh, that is so good. Okay, come on, Pastor.
That's what my pastor's like. Look, if you can't say amen, say ouch.
That's
Okay?
it.
You just
Just
lick the wounds and just keep pushing through it. Okay? But that is to your point, and I think that's so powerful, and that's why I'm so excited to have you on because a lot of the conversations we have on here and really the crux of what created this show was being in a space that wasn't checking for me, but I was still trying to make it work.
yes,
Like I
yes,
was working the crazy hours and doing all of the things, but ain't nobody was checking for me.
right,
And it
right.
took my little physical breakdown for me to finally be like, maybe I should rethink
Mm, mm,
what
mm.
I'm doing with my priorities. And so that to me is so important. I think having you on is also a reminder to all of us that you can still find joy. It is not out of your grasp. You can
Right.
still pursue your dreams. Here you are. And let me also like for a quick second be like, look, here I am
Yes. Yes.
having a conversation with Dr. Chelsey Green, okay, the president of the
Right.
Grammys. Y'all, I say to people all the time, shoot your shot, okay?
That
Shoot your
is so
shot.
beautiful. the honor is mine because I'm so inspired by you, by like women
Thank you.
that are okay with stepping out on faith and doing their thing. I think about how much brilliance we bring to the workplace.
Yes.
So there is so much, just it's bigger than strategic vision. It is
Yeah.
transformational execution on so many different levels, and it's not in the salary. It's not reflected in the salary. It's not
Nope.
reflected in the benefit package. Okay,
Nope.
so if it's what are we doing to continue to pour into ourselves? And I hate that we all have that health moment that we can go to that said, this was a turning point for me, but I too had a health scare that was like, what am I even doing? No one would care if I was not able to show up the next week. I'll just be replaced.
Mm. So that hits so heavy, and hits heavy for me because if you haven't accomplished everything you've accomplished,
That's it.
and you've accomplished a lot, okay, let's not shy away from the pedigree, okay? And so, having accomplished all of the things that you have accomplished in all of these different arenas, and you still had that moment where it was like, I have done too much.
Yeah.
I have taken on too much.
Yeah.
My body is not, look, we got a timeout, and nobody cares in my corporate space because that's really the construct. No one cares, and they will replace me tomorrow.
It's a tough reality to sit with, right?
Yeah.
But I think that everyone really has to understand that the corporate place is the institution in general.
Okay. Yeah.
It is the system. We're
Mhm.
in a system, and you at some point in our lives, we have to sit with ourselves and say, how much am I putting into the system? And what is the system giving me?
Okay. Ask that question. You should ask yourself that every day.
I mean, I don't know if you want to go to the rage room every day with that question. Because you might not like your answer all the time, but
But your point, and I'm sure you have that similar experience, there are warning signs along the way. So the breakdown doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's not just like a spontaneous breakdown, y'all.
it certainly doesn't come out of nowhere. And that's why I am a professor, but also in my capacity as chair of the board, music has been my life. So it's a lot of work. Of course,
Yes.
this is an all in position for sure. And it's music, it's
Mhm.
creators, it is talking about making opportunities for education, for continuing education, for professional development, for ways that we can continue to grow our industry and stay ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
So at the core, those are exciting conversations, right? And it's nice to build those moments so that we can come together as a creator community and look across all of our vast backgrounds and experiences and say, where's the need? How
Yeah.
can we help? How can we be and assist in what we know as a peer-to-peer organization? I also know that you probably had guests on that deal with the challenges of academia.
Yeah.
This is Academia is a tough space right now. It's just, and I don't know that it's any tougher than it's been in the past because
Yeah.
both my parents are educators. It's just education in America is a new front line. And we talk about AI with creators, talk about AI with education and how it's a threat to building critical thinkers.
Yes.
So it is, there is no problem that is in isolation. It affects so many different areas. And I understand that so many women carry the, I want to help and make it better. And what I had to get slapped with the reality of is, while I have a very high expectation of myself,
Yeah.
and I carry a very high expectation of those that I work with because of what I know is possible if we can
Right.
put our heads together. I also know that simply being present is already meeting a need.
Yeah. Y'all heard that? The people in the back, y'all heard that?
I
You
mean,
showed up. Like,
yeah. So that's, you celebrate step one. You were there
yeah.
in the conversation and you're doing it. And that's worth so much more than I think sometimes we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, and I think because it's something that you're teasing out is that we're not always present in the moment.
That's
We could
it.
be in the room, but we are not in the room because our brain is already thinking about tomorrow, in 3 hours, what I got to do, in 2 days, what I got to do, and who I got to check in and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We spend so much time looking so far ahead. And then what is that? And one of the things I learned in therapy, because yeah, sure, I sure enough went to therapy after my whole little situation.
Amen. I'm glad to hear
And I
that.
highly recommend to continue.
Everyone should be doing some sort of therapy.
Yes.
Yes.
But one of the things that really stuck with me out of everything I learned was that anxiety is caused by us focusing in the future, and depression is caused by us focusing in the past.
Yes.
And so, what could happen if we spent more time in the present?
Right. Just being present. Yes.
And so that is so powerful to me. And I think one of the things that I also really love about having this conversation is that there's this common thread that we all experience, especially as Black women in these spaces, as overachieving Black women. I mean, come on, it's always on 10, probably about 1,000 if I'm being honest. But we are always so just overshooting. And then even then, it's not enough to us. And then everyone else on the aisle says, girl, you're doing too much.
Because I don't know that everyone always sits back and just even considers all they're doing in one day.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness, I just did all of that in one day. Yes, I'm tired on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so being present, it not only allows you to, my therapist got on me. He's like, Chelsey, you say you're grateful, but you don't live like it.
Oh, ooh, ooh, ouch.
And you talk about an ouch. And I was like, what
So
do you
you,
mean by
ooh,
that? And he was like, you have to, gratefulness is an identity. It's like, it's a
mm,
presence that you're walking in. It's not
yeah,
something that you say. And when I say that, hit me so hard because I was not really absorbing all of
mm,
what even moment to moment felt like just from what
mm,
you were just saying. I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always overthinking about something that just happened instead of just being literally right here, right now, in gratefulness that I get to have this interview with Nicole. This is so fun. This is, talking about experiences and sharing and building community.
yeah,
So that is certainly something that, ever since we had that talk last year, my eyes have been wide open,
mm,
just absorbing the day to day. Life is just so short,
yes,
right? And the scripture talks about, so that we could have life and life more abundantly. I think everyone always associates that with eternal life and doesn't understand
yeah,
that is for right now, life more abundantly right
yes,
now. So I'm
yes.
trying to do better with that. I am.
Yeah. No, I really love that you said that because I do believe that is, oh, well, when I get there. And like, no, he wants you to have it now. Here. That's the whole point.
The when I get there, that's a sermon right there. The when I get there.
Oh, yeah, no, don't do that. Or my godmother would say, don't be so heavenly bound. You're no earthly good.
Wow.
And I'm like, ugh,
Good.
like you just
Mm.
be hurting my feelings all the time. But in the best way possible. And so I'm so glad. I'm so honored and so grateful that we were able to have this conversation. And I'll put you on the spot a little bit, but it's not gonna be too bad, I promise. So if you could leave one piece of advice to those listening right now, if there was only one thing you could share and leave or impart, what would that be?
Ooh, I would say this. It may sound cliche, but you have to believe in yourself and trust
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, that's not cliche because we don't do that enough.
Okay,
I'll be clear
because
now.
I think that we underestimate the possibilities for ourselves
Yes.
because of this when I get there
Hmm.
mentality. I'll be able to do that when, or
Yeah.
that'll happen when I And I really believe that God wants us to realize what we're capable of in this season so he can unlock the next moment.
Yes.
And so just believe that you can do it and trust and know that you'll be resourced and aligned with people that will help you see it through.
Yeah, that is a word, y'all. Like we done went to church and back again a couple of times. So I need y'all to rewind, write things down. But that is such a powerful thing because I know that there are moment to moment I have to remind myself to believe in myself and believe in what I'm doing and trust what I'm doing. Because every one of those decisions gets you to places like this, to have conversations like this with people like you of your caliber and your stature. But it requires trust and belief. It requires belief that if I send a proposal, that it's going to be considered. But if I talk myself out, I'd be like, well, there's no way. I ain't gonna bother. That's not what it's about. That's to
Exactly.
your point. You didn't say to yourself, why would they consider me for the Grammys? I'm like, you said, why wouldn't they consider me for
Well,
the
I
Grammys?
mean, listen, I will say I certainly was up against some tough competition.
Mhm.
And the only thing I kept thinking about was I'm leading with what I know I want to do for our
Okay.
community.
Yes.
That's it. It's their decision. They can vote yes or no. But I know that I have a vision that is what I believe to be something that would benefit our community as an industry, like even
Mhm.
outside of the organization. And so I think if you just trust that intuition of what you know is morally right or what you want to bring to it, what you've been given to bring to a situation, that's the part you got to trust. The situation around you might look like it's not possible, and people will be in your ear saying, oh
Yeah.
well, if they're running men, then you shouldn't run, or
Hmm.
are you sure you want to go up against that person, and da da. And it's like, really, I'm not going up against anybody but myself and the opportunity to bring what I want to bring to this platform.
That part. We should only ever be in competition with ourselves, folks.
That's it.
That's it. And also, to your point, and to bring it all home, trust and believe that inner voice, the inner voice, not the outside noise. That's all noise. The outside stuff is just noise. Okay.
The inner
At the
voice.
end of the day. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Listen to that inner voice. I could talk to you for another whole hour, but I know you got stuff to do. And unfortunately, I got stuff to do. We're going to let the folks know. Of course, I'm going to put in the show notes where they can find you. But if you can just give a quick shout out where folks can find your music, can learn more about your work, go ahead and let the folks know at home where they can do that.
Well, we are streaming on all streaming platforms. Chelsey Green and the Green Project. That's CHELSEY. Green, like the color, and the Green Project. And the website is chelseagreen.com. And I'm on Instagram at Dr. Chelsey Green.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, man, it has been such a treat having you on. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for pouring into our audience. I know they're going to be super excited to hear this episode. And until next time, folks, like I always say, take care. Thanks for tuning in to Black Womaning in Corporate America, the podcast. If today's episode spoke to you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, or submit a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. And don't forget to grab your copy of Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America, available now wherever books are sold. Until next time, take care.